Hey guys, welcome back to another Hoel Roofing podcast. Today we have another local business owner, Clare, and she's going to talk to us about some of her business ventures throughout Rush County and just a little bit about how she balances work life and what she loves about Rush County too. So Clare, just tell us a little bit about yourself and we'll go from there.
Well, thank you, Emily. I own Barmaids bartending service and part owner in Value Vending, vending machine company. I also own a cleaning business, so very multifaceted anymore. Barmaids is probably my pride and joy. I do weddings, corporate events, private parties, pretty much anything with alcohol, something fun like that. But that's pretty much it.
So what got you into the bartending business?
Oh gosh. I started bartending 12 years ago. The wedding industry came up in my area when there was a bad service was starting to happen here in Rushville. I started getting calls, and then next thing you know, Barmaids was called. It was formed. It was pretty much overnight, and then 6 years later, I've got a staff of 14 people. So
that's awesome.
Yes. So it's crazy.
So how do you balance, I know you have a daughter,
Yes.
How old is she now?
She will be 10 this year.
Oh, wow.
Yes, yep.
So how do you balance doing the vending machines, doing the bartending, doing the cleaning? How do you balance being the mom and running the businesses?
Well, it takes a village and a large one. It's just a lot of patience. I think patience and my parents play a huge role with my daughter. Of course, her dad, he lives in New Pal, and he's pretty involved, but my parents take a lot of that pressure off of me so that I can pursue these events. So,
does she ever go with you to stock the vending machines or any setup for any parties or anything like that?
Oh, absolutely. You'll actually enjoy this. Big Dave Ramsey thing started last year. She goes and works. She has to work 1 day a week, and she has to work 1 day a week, make her money. She has to go into the bank, deposit it herself. We've, that's kind of something I've instilled in her. My parents did it for me when I was a kid. She does that, and then she does go with me to set up events. Of course, she doesn't touch the alcohol or anything, just to be a part of what I'm doing. But she gets dressed up and does the thing and loves it.
That's awesome.
Yes.
Well, and it's nice to have her be able to come with you, show her what you're doing, and instilling that in her. We try to take our kids to job sites, helping out any way that they can, so they know, money doesn't grow on trees.
Absolutely.
You don't get stuff just because, you have to work for it and help us out, and that's how we have the things that we have. So I really like that because that's what we do.
Yes.
We drag our kids everywhere, so.
I have noticed that, yes. Yeah, so Paisley, she just, when she was really little, she struggled with the fact that I was gone.
Yeah.
So when I left my late night bar scene, there for a while, I was helping bars, doing the late nights and working till 3 or 4 in the morning, and then I was exhausted the next day. She just didn't get it.
Yeah.
The only way, now that she's older, the only way to understand it is get with me. Go to work with me on days off from school, as long as she doesn't have plans with her friends. She's in the van with me. So it does help. Yeah.
Now, I know you mentioned a little bit earlier about the Dave Ramsey thing. That we're huge Dave Ramsey people. Tell us about your journey doing that. And I know you had a house in Lake Santee and you sold that, and now you. I don't know if you call it a tiny house.
Oh yes, it's a tiny house.
So just tell us about what got you into the Dave Ramsey. What made you want to do that? Just tell us about that.
Perfect. Well, my mother, good old Mrs. Cull, is a huge Dave Ramsey fan. Has been since I was a kid. So when we were vending when we were kids, the back then, the radio show was playing in the van all of the time, every day, and that's what we didn't have a choice. So Dave Ramsey was instilled in me when I was really young. Paisley's dad and I split up 7 years ago, and that was when it really clicked for me in my personal life. I didn't have a choice. I needed to figure it out. I needed to become debt free and figure out my finances on my own. And I guess, let's see now. It's been, COVID was my year. The year that COVID happened was my year to be completely debt free. So obviously, that happened and the world shut every service that I do down.
Yeah.
So that obviously has been, that stalled, I guess. But this year will be my year. So 3 years after the fact, or 4 years now, is this year will be with the, I built a tiny house in COVID to get out of, I didn't want to be, house poor.
Yeah.
So I built a tiny house, and that it's 350 square feet, and it serves its purpose. And what we're doing now is prepping to buy a house next year.
That's awesome.
And doing the Dave Ramsey way with little to no debt.
That's
yes.
awesome.
Yes.
No, and that teaches her, we're working hard, but also we're doing it financially wise. Correct. So we're not going to, and that just frees up. You're already, I won't say stressed, but it's stressful.
It's stressful.
Business.
Yes.
And adding money to that, if you are in loads of debt, that just adds more in your. Sometimes we take it out on the people that don't deserve it. Like, if you're stressed out about money, then you might be, kind of snapping at her or something.
Yeah.
So that's awesome to hear that you did that. So
financial freedom is a real thing.
Yes.
So it is a very real, very powerful thing for me.
That's awesome.
Yes.
Now, tell me an event that was one of your favorites that you've done so far.
Oh gosh, there's been so many. Rush County weddings are probably still my favorite. I even now with so many employees, I'm not typically behind the bar that often, but I do try to make it to the Rush County wedding. It's just different. Weddings outside of Rushville are just different, and we I love the community. I love how it brings a good Rush County wedding brings everybody together, and it's just really cool to see it even from behind the pine. It's just interesting.
And it's kind of like a reunion because you go there and you don't know, I didn't know you knew them. And then you see half the town when you go to a Rush County wedding.
Yes. Oh, yep. I actually did, you'll like this. I did a mixology class in Knightstown, 2 weeks ago. And there were 3 Rush County connections in a room of people I did not know a soul. And it was really cool, and it all related back to every story. They loved a Rush County wedding. And it was just really interesting to hear that from people. I had no idea. I had no idea who they were, never seen them before, and there was a Rush County connection from a Rush County wedding.
It's always a small world.
Yes.
You run into somebody I know so-and-so, and then it just spirals, and you could be all the way northern Indiana or something, and then you run into, I know. Yes. Or they know a random, something in Rush County or so it's
crazy.
It's always a small world when stuff like that happens.
Yes.
You mentioned your mixology class. Tell us what does that entail? What I know I've seen on Facebook the posts. So
people kind of hounded me. Let's see here. Post COVID, everybody became their own bartender. COVID turned everybody and their brother into they could make their own drinks at home and they made them better, and what I think was lost in that was the art behind bartending. So after a friend of mine kind of hounded me, she wanted to give a gift to her mom and she wanted an experience. And she was like, can you do this? I finally sat down. I asked my mom, who's a 2nd grade teacher, to help me with a lesson plan and kind of piece together. It's an hour-and-a-half class, and I teach you how to make 3 top shelf drinks, with, I consider allergies and liquor preferences. And we have this very social, very high-end experience that we can do in your own home. So it's just really cool. So then we're bringing the art back to the craft.
Well, and that's something fun that you can do.
Yes.
And people are getting together, doing something, learning something new so they can make their own drinks, but learn from the professional.
And they love it. They love it. And that's been the greatest thing. I've only done 3 classes so far, but I've served, I'm up to 40 people so far of mixing those drinks and teaching. And they have a great time.
I was going to say, that just sounds so much fun of just getting
Hoel Roofing's next adventure. There you go.
There you go. You can come into the office, which Nick might not like that because he just Stella's all the way. But yeah, that might be our next little company get together. So that's great. Let me circle back to the Rush County thing. Tell me, I'm a transplant, but I know you grew up in Rush County.
Yep.
Born and raised. Tell me something that you love about Rush County and something that stands out to you, just why you love it here.
The one thing after I deal obviously with bartending, I'm in several different counties. Rush County to me is exceptionally supportive of small business. I don't see that in all of the other counties that I go to, that I work in. Here we have such good report and backing from, whether it's the city, the county, just from people here that are just so much more supportive than anywhere else in my eyes. I can walk down the street and people, here I'm the lady in pink most of the time, or, they're waving at me because they support Barmaids. And it's just really cool to see that here on a local level. Yeah.
And that's awesome just because they know, like, people our age, like, we're pouring back into the community, we're giving back, and we want to see Rush County do great things, and we want to have our business here because,
Absolutely.
We love Rush County, so, and you're providing a service for the people of Rush County, and we're providing a service for the people of Rush County, and like I said, I'm a transplant, but everybody, which, as you know, everybody is related to someone in Rush County, but the people are just so friendly and inviting, and if anything, if someone has a problem or, terminal illness or something, people rally around each other and they support them, and that's what it's so cool to see that because you go to a big town and that it kind of falls short. Like, no one knows anybody. They're pulling into their garage and they're not interacting with the people that are around them. But Rush County, like, people rally around them, and it's great to live here and just to be a part of something like that. So now, if someone were wanting to start their own business, what would be a suggestion from you or something that you have learned and what you would do differently now?
I'd be patient, being patient with the process. You're not going to be an overnight star. I think that's something that's really hard for people to understand. Barmaid started with just me. I did 3 events, I think, the first year that I started. And it took every bit of patience and diligence and hard work to get to where I am now. If I had rushed the process, I would have fallen short. I would have, something would have, happened, or I wouldn't have done things correctly or taken the time to learn more about, small business and doing what I need to do to be successful. So that I think patience and diligence are just very, very important.
Well, unfortunately, mistakes happen, stuff happens, but you learn from those and you grow from that. Yep. So, where we're at now to compare to where we were when we first started, as you know, like, you can't foresee the future, but you grow from it, you learn from it, and that just makes you better at what you're doing, and then you can tweak the next event if something happens, or you just learn and grow and evolve. So
yes.
I froze up, Adam. So what motivates you to keep going in the process and not give up? Because I know that there are days when it's stressful and hard and you want to just close it all up and run away.
Probably my daughter. Her and I's world changed a lot when her dad and I separated. And it was one of those moments where I had to look myself in the mirror and say, no one's going to help you. You have to do this. You have to press forward, even when it was hard. And it's the same in the business. I thankfully have a very strong village behind me, But at the end of the day, you know, I have to do this for her.
Yeah.
You know, every part of what I do is to give her a better life, you know, and to make, you know, her life easier and motivate her to do better and strive forward, you know, whatever the world is when she's older.
Now, is there any like podcasts you listen to, or books or motivational things that keep you going? Or
I listen to a lot of Dave Ramsey. Your husband has given me a lot of podcasts to listen to. There's not Joe Rogan. I do a lot of that. I do a lot of Jocko. I mean, even though it's military based, that's extremely motivating for me. I am very I'm very blunt and straightforward, and I love just that natural push, you know, that Jocko does. But nothing in particular. I have ADHD all over the place. I listen to whatever, but no, nothing in particular. But I have read a couple of the books that your husband has you know, let me borrow or told me to read, you know, regarding, you know, financial peace, or, you know, even from the small business side of motivating to be a better leader. So, yeah.
Yeah, and even we've been doing the Dave Ramsey thing, and we still listen to Entree Leadership, his podcast and stuff, and it kind of keeps you motivated when you listen to the people that call in, and they are all the debt that they have, and it's like, how in the world did you get that much debt? So it just kind of relights of what you're doing, because you're like, I am never going back, and I'm never going to do that.
Yep.
So I agree. I like listening to his calls and listening to people call in, and I didn't use my degree, and I have like $200,000 in debt, and so I'm like, oh, I'm so glad that I never went down that path and that road. So is there any other words of advice, words of wisdom, anything that any plug, how do we get a hold of you if we want to use your bartending services, any cleaning needs done, just how do we get a hold of you, words of advice, anything that you want to add that we didn't talk about?
I think we covered the whole gamut, but you can always call me. My number, I think, is on everything that I do now, all branding, and on the doors of the Knights of Columbus. But you can call me. Facebook, I do a ton of brides and clients contact me on Facebook now. So that's one way. You could do that through Barmaids, or even through my rental space, The Hideaway. I do answer both of those. Let's see here. I do have email. People do email me. Because one of your, I have two of your employees I'm doing weddings for this year. So
yeah, that's exciting.
Yes. But I don't really have any words of advice. I just think, hard right now. It's hard work gets you a long way, and I think that's something some people kind of forget or have forgotten.
Yes.
After the shutdown and everything, is we have to work hard to get to where we want to be. And it's not easy, and it just takes every motivation and strive. It takes the whole thing to get to where we want to be.
That's great, because people forget that on Facebook you see, oh, they got a new house, they've got a new car, like they've got all these things, and you can't just have those things without putting in the effort.
Absolutely.
And people on that don't own a business, they don't understand the late nights, the early mornings, the dragging your kids wherever you're going. They don't understand that. They're just, must be nice. Like, well, do you want the stress that I have? Do you want, the late hours and all
those phone calls?
All the, yeah. And people probably message you all hours of the day,
my phone's gone off
all
5
hours
times
of the night.
Yes.
So it never shuts off. So people don't see that side of it.
Correct.
They just see, oh, she's got nice things, she's doing all this, but they don't see that the hard work that goes into it. So
absolutely,
that's it takes grit and determination to run a small business, and it's not for the faint of heart.
Absolutely. And I mean, I'm sure you can agree with this too, being a female in the small business world makes it even harder.
Yes.
And we have to push through some of those boundaries that aren't necessarily as prevalent for the males as what we have to deal with. So
because
there's a lot of that.
Even if you are confident in yourself and you know that no, I know what I'm talking about, you know, sometimes you run into that pushback of like,
yeah, absolutely.
Nope. Because I could say something and they don't want to hear it from me, and then my husband comes in and says it, and they're like, they understand it right away, and I'm like, I said the same thing, but it is, you know, it's unfortunate, it's one of those things, but you just got to push through it and be confident in who you are and know that you're doing it right, and you're saying, you know, you're telling them the right thing. So
yeah.
Well, Claire, I appreciate you coming out today, being on the podcast. It was great talking to you.
Absolutely.
If they want to reach out, Facebook, email, phone.
Yep.
Barmaids, does that have a Facebook page?
Correct.
Okay.
Yes.
So reach out to her in any of those. If you need your vending machines.
Yes.
Cleaning.
Yes.
Bartender, mixology classes, a little bit of everything.
A little bit of everything.
So, but I appreciate you coming out and being on the show today, and it was great chatting with you.
Absolutely. Anytime.